Hello, and welcome to the fifth and final part of the How to Mix a Gig series. I'm Andrew, and this is Offshore Audio. If you've not seen the other parts of this series, I'll link to them just down below in the description. This final part is going to cover the sound check and the actual mixing of the gig. So without further ado, let's dive in. So it's time for the sound check. The band are playing. We're going to get the band to play a song or two or three or as many as we need or they need or we have time for. Okay? And what is it that we're doing during the sound check? Let's get their monitors fixed. Let's get the monitors for the band sounding as good as they can be. We've already EQ'd them. We know they sound great, but we want to make sure that they have everything they need on the stage. I'll usually preemptively add a little bit of the vocalist in their own monitor, because they're an unamplified instrument on a loud stage. They're quite likely going to need to hear a little bit of themselves. Maybe they'll ask for more later. It's very unlikely they'll ask for less. Other than that, I like to let the band, in a small venue like this, I like to let them just play before I put anything in their monitors, because the front of house speakers and their backline are going to really fill the room in a lot of ways. So I like to fill in the gaps with my monitors later on in the sound check. Of course, if they explicitly ask me for something, I'm going to give them that before we get going. So they're going to play a song. And after each song and during each song, I'm going to look to the stage and I'm looking for signals, or I'm listening to what they say if they want to hear more of something in their monitor mix. And then once they have finished the song, I'm going to stop them and I'm going to ask them how everything sounds. Get a general opinion, and then I will fine-tune their monitors one by one. I will say to the drummer, "Hey, how are your monitors, Mr. Drummer? We'll have exchanged names earlier on in the day. I'll address them by name." And then I just say to them, "What do you want to hear?" And then I can find my drummer's monitor mix, and I can create that monitor mix for them. And the drummer might say, "I really need a lot of bass," and I'll give them that. They might say, "I don't have enough vocal, please give me loads of vocals," and I'll give them that. They might say, "I just need a little bit of the one guitar, the amplifier that's not as close to me," so I'll add a little bit of guitar in their monitor. And then they'll say, "Yeah, let's try something again with that," and we'll move on. And I will move through each band member on the stage. I'll say to the bassist, maybe she wants to hear the vocals as well. She'll say, "Yeah," and I'll bring up that vocal in the monitor. They might say, "Yeah, I actually need to hear myself." Maybe their amp isn't loud enough for them to hear themselves, so I'll give them a little bit of that, and I need to hear both the guitars and the kick drum. Great. And then I'll just move one by one through the band members and their monitor mixes, and I will make sure that everything sounds good. Okay? Then we go for another song, don't we? So the band will play again, and this time on the pass through, I'll be fine-tuning their mix, the front of house mix. I'll be adding little bits, taking away little bits and getting it sounding good, while also keeping an eye on their monitors. I'll be fine-tuning my EQ. I'll be fine-tuning my compression and my gating to have it sound as good as possible. And we'll just repeat this process with the time that we have, going through songs and fine-tuning until we get something that we're all happy with. If the band are happy really, really quickly, but you're not, ask them to play another song for you. It's as much for you as it is for them. It's having a thorough sound check that allows you to have such a great show. But try and remember not to be so obsessed with the front of house mix. You want to get it sounding as good as you can, but in a sound check, perhaps focus more on the monitor mix. Because once the audience comes into the venue, the sound will change completely. All of the humans in the venue will absorb a lot of the sound from the front of house speakers, and you'll have to readdress this front of house mix and be on top of it the whole time. It's also a time to get your effects set properly, discuss how they sound in the mix, and whether you're using reverb, delay, and how long those reverbs and delays are. Once all that's done, we can get ready for the gig. So we'll open up our show file or our scenes or whatever it's called in your mixer, and we're going to save this scene, if you will, this band's settings, so that whatever happens, we can load that up and be ready to go during the show. If there's another band that's to be sound checked who's going to play, then we can save a separate scene with these settings and just move from this point on the way, or maybe reset it all and begin again and save different copies. When it's time for the gig to start, we're going to mute everything. And we're going to get our house music, and we're going to bring it up so there's something nice and pleasant for the audience to hear when they're coming in. Just use your phone, use your laptop, whatever you've got. Pick something that's in tune with the gig. Don't play metal at a jazz gig. And then once everything's muted apart from the house music, we chill out, we wait for the gig. So now it's time to mix the gig. What we're going to do is the band, as they come on the stage, we're going to bring down our house music. The audience now know it's time for the show to start. When the band are on the stage, we'll unmute all of their channels and they'll begin the gig. During the songs, we're going to be, first of all, adjusting this front of house mix because it's going to have changed radically when people come into the room. Unless no one came, in which case it'll sound pretty much the same. All the time, we have eyes on the stage looking for monitor requests or any kind of problems, and we're always listening in case something's wrong. Use headphones, solo channels. You solo a channel, you hear it in your headphones, it doesn't affect the front of house mix or the monitor mix, and you can hear how that microphone sounds. If your kick drum mic is slowly drifting away from the kick drum, you can hear that using your solo button. So we fine tune and we keep an eye on the band and we're riding faders. We're bringing up the vocals if they need to come up during a chorus, bringing them down if suddenly the band's really quiet and they're really loud. Try riding the fader on your effects as well. Keep the effects low during verses, bring them up during choruses. It can really make it sound very dynamic and really nice. Also, you want to mute your effects when the band are talking. You don't want to have reverb on the vocalist when they're talking to the audience. If they stop playing and it's time for a bit of chit-chat with the audience, no reverb. We don't want to have chit-chat in a cathedral. We just want to feel intimate and close to the audience at that point. Once the band are coming to the end of their set, we mute them again. We'll maybe leave the vocal on a little bit, just in case there's some final words to be said, final thank yous. Then we'll hit them on mute and we'll bring up the house music again. And we're ready to either move on to our next band or end the gig and clean up. So hopefully you found that helpful. The really important things to take away from the sound check, I think, are pay attention and communicate well with the band. Make sure that you're not giving them things in their monitors that they don't want. Spend time on their monitors when you've got time to communicate with them, and perhaps spend time on the front of house mix when they're playing. Always keep your eyes on the stage and make sure that you're paying attention to any cues that they give you, both in the sound check and during the show. During the show, make sure that you're on the ball. Pay attention to the levels, make sure everything's balanced, but also just pay attention to how things change. You might need to take things like effects or guitars or vocals up and down throughout the mix. And always make sure that there's house music on if there's nothing else happening on the stage. No one wants to be silent in a gig. I've got a free workshop that you can take that just covers all of the things that you find on the stage. All the cables, all the connections, all the signal types, and it's really just the fundamental knowledge that you need to feel comfortable on the stage, knowing that you're going to grab the right thing when you need it. So you can get that, that's free. I'll link to that down below as well. Hopefully you found this episode helpful, and hopefully you found the whole series helpful. Leave me a comment, let me know down below, or let me know if there's anything you'd like to see in future videos. Like and subscribe if you liked it as well. That lets me know that you want to see more of this stuff. And I'll see you in the next video. What that's going to be about, I don't know yet, but we'll find out. See ya.